Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy.
There is some news from LSU football as Brian Kelly just met with the assembled local media and made the announcement that Mac Markway has decided not to play football at LSU this year. That's essentially all the information and all the detail that we got. There was no indication that Mac Markway is about to transfer, no indication that he's done playing football forever, just that he and Brian Kelly had a conversation last night, and Mac Markway decided, I'm not going to play this year. I'm not going to speculate. I don't know anything. This is all brand new information to me in the last 45 minutes. All I can do is kind of give you what I think that means for the 2024 LSU football team to have Mac Markway pulled out of the equation. And I think it's pretty simple. When Brian Kelly took over at LSU, there was no semblance of a tight end presence. You had freshman Mason Taylor, and that was about it. And since then, he has methodically gone out and recruited high-level tight ends to restock the shelves. And as of 48 hours ago, I would look at LSU's tight end situation among the best in all of college football. I can't claim to know exactly who Boston College's tight ends are. I don't know who Ohio State's tight ends are. I don't know who Oregon's tight ends are. I just know who LSU's tight ends are, and they're really talented. And Mac Markway has now been removed from that equation. So what does that mean? Well, Mason Taylor is still the starter. He goes through every rep first. He looks great out there. He's making catches. We know he can block. He's a veteran. He understands his assignments. Mason Taylor is the starter at tight end and is among the top 2, 3, 4, 5 tight ends in the Southeastern Conference, no questions asked. And I feel really good about that. And then you have the 3 younger players who were kind of vying for time. Mac Markway is the most physical presence of all 3. He's 6'5" and well filled out and figured to be an inline blocker with the ability to catch the football in the intermediate part of the field. And then you've got 2 guys who were, quote unquote, to use a cliche, matchup nightmares. Kamorian Pimpton and Trey'Dez Green are 6'6" and 6'7" respectively. They can both run, they can both jump, they can both catch. They are prototypes at the pass-catching tight end portion of this. Markway is not necessarily that. He's more so geared towards the run game. You can't purely just use one group for catching passes and one for running the football, but you become predictable by personnel in that way. But that's where their strength lies. So you pull Mac Markway out of that equation, and what do you have? You have a versatile starter in Mason Taylor who can do it all, and you got 2 guys who were brought here to catch passes that have to learn how to block a little bit better. And Brian Kelly talked about it today and said that he thought that Kamorian Pimpton was coming along more so as a blocker. And to be quite frank with you, I don't think Trey'Dez Green is going to be asked a ton this year to step in there and throw a ton of blocks at the line of scrimmage in pass protection. Not a ton of blocks in the run game. Now, that could change. If Mason Taylor goes down, which happens, you're going to have to become a more complete player. But right now, I think Mason Taylor and Kamorian Pimpton are the front of the line, and Trey'Dez Green is right behind Pimpton and has the most physical gifts of all 3 of those guys. We were out there on Friday, and we saw an entire session, an entire segment of practice, entire period of practice, where LSU was running 2 tight end sets. And the first 2 guys out there were Mason Taylor and Kamorian Pimpton. So I think if you are of the mind that you look at this news and you go, that guy he was going to be 4th string anyway, got passed up, who cares? I would suggest that's probably a little too cavalier. If you were to suggest, oh my God, they have no depth left, I would suggest that's probably a little bit of an overreaction. This hurts. You got 4 tight ends on scholarship. You'd like to have all 4 of them. In that way, it does hurt. But you've got real talent there. And you've got an all-conference level starter, which Mac Markway was not going to be a starter. And you've got a couple of guys backing him up who look to be very, very capable and at times can be real problems for the defense. Got to work on being more physical, got to work on blocking, but they've got some tools at their disposal that just not a lot of guys have. There's not a lot of 6'6" guys that can run and jump and have really long arms. Pimpton and then Trey'Dez Green at 6'7" are right there that way. So that's the news from the day. I think it hurts LSU, hurts the depth. They've still got real talent there at that spot. What I wanted to talk about now briefly in the second part of this little practice discussion is I watched a lot of pass rush one-on-ones again today. Starting offensive linemen were out there. Starting defensive linemen were out there. Certainly reserves there as well. And they were going one-on-one, one-on-one, one-on-one. And as I was watching it, I was like, this is a good day, I think, for both sides. I think the offensive line has kind of won their fair share. I think the defensive line has kind of won their share. It's felt pretty even. And so I took my notebook and I printed out this piece of paper, and I've got every matchup that I charted. I did not stay the entire time. I watched what turned out to be 24 of them, and then went and watched a little bit on the other field and saw some of the 7-on-7. But of the 24 I charted, I put a green dot next to the offensive wins and a red dot next to the defensive wins. I had 12 green dots and 12 red dots. I had 24 reps split right down the middle. And I think that's great. I think that's exactly what you want to see if you're a fan. I think Brad Davis would probably prefer that I saw 20 green dots. I think Bo Davis would probably prefer that I saw 20 red dots. But if you're looking at this from an overall perspective, it's what and what. And I think some of the things that stood out in the reps, first of all, this will come as a surprise to, let's see, how many are listening? 0 people listening. This will come as a surprise to 0 people. Will Campbell looks real good. He went against Paris Shan twice. Paris Shan's played a lot of college football. It looked like a walk in the park. I don't think Will Campbell's breaking a sweat in this drill. He gets into his set, bam, drops, catches whoever's rushing, stays right in front of him, dead square. It's the least action you see of anybody in the drill. There's no swim move by him. There's no bull rush by him. Nobody hits the ground. Will Campbell just stonewalls whoever shows up, and that's kind of the end of the rep. It's nobody on the offense or defense makes any of this look remotely as easy as Will Campbell does. And I can't claim to sit here and get into all the technical aspects in it and why he's as good as he is and why he's going to be a top 5 pick, but he's big, he's strong, he moves well, and nobody gets by him. I mean, he looks like it. The reps don't even last a long time. Sometimes because there's a little bit of a mess, or there's, maybe a guy's getting a little bit too wide and the offensive lineman's running him off, or maybe there's an offensive lineman that's taking charge. Like sometimes the reps take a while. The whistle gets blown in no time when Will Campbell's up there. It's just easy for him. The other thing that caught my eye, Jacobian Guillory had 2 great bull rushes in his 2 reps. He drove DJ Chester one time and Miles Frazier another time back deep into the backfield. And I thought that was really impressive. He never shook free of them, but he fired off and he bull rushed. And I realized that bull rush is tough to deal with in this setting, and that's going to be Jacobian Guillory's game. But I was impressed by those 2 bull rushes. JVR Suggs won a couple of reps against a pair of 2s. Saw JVR Suggs beat Cohen Eccles, the second-team senior center, and also saw him beat Paul Mabenga, second-team guard. So good day for JVR Suggs. And I think that was probably the most impressive that I saw. Of note to some of you that are listening, some of the guys that are maybe buzzwords for you all, Deshaun Womack got by Weston Davis on a really good speed rush. He dipped that shoulder, got around him, and got clean to where the quarterback would have been off the offensive right side. I thought that was really good. Dominic McKinley also got a rep over Weston Davis as well. So 2 of the young pass rushers beating one of the young tackles, who's a guy that I think the staff really likes in Weston Davis. Was there one that Weston Davis won? I thought there was. I may not have charted every single one there, and I don't see it. But he did have a couple of good reps, and so I think that there's a good base there and a good athleticism there to Weston Davis. Couple of the starter-on-starter matchups. Miles Frazier beat Gio Paez. DJ Chester beat Gio Paez as well. And I thought Ori Williams had 2 really good reps over Kalaj Collins and Gabe Relaford, 2 young players that are in his class. Ori Williams is massive. And this is something I have noticed about all these linemen when I get out there and I'm seeing the starters and the reserves. And this is very much expected. This is to be expected. I could go back and pull the audio because I remember doing the segment. It was right when Brian Kelly got hired. And I went back and looked at all the guys that Brian Kelly had drafted on the offensive line from Notre Dame. And I went back to their recruiting profiles and I looked at their height and weight when they were high school seniors and their height and weight when they got drafted. And basically 100% of them were very lean players as high schoolers that filled out over time at Notre Dame and became first, second, third round picks. And you look at LSU's offensive linemen to a man, and all of them are long and lean, and nobody, by my eye, is carrying bad weight. And there are times where you have guys that carry bad weight and they slim up. There are times where guys look like they're carrying bad weight and they're still dominant players. Trey Turner did not look like he was in peak physical form at LSU. He kicked ass for 2 years as a starting offensive lineman. There's nothing wrong with having a guard that's 340 pounds if he carries it well and plays well. That's a perfectly acceptable weight to play offensive line at if you're capable of doing it, and Trey Turner was. LSU doesn't have any of those guys on this roster. Everybody is long and lean, from the freshmen to the juniors and seniors. That's just the way that Brian Kelly prefers to recruit and develop his offensive linemen. Clearly, Brad Davis feels the same way. Those guys look good, but I thought it was a good day for the defense as well. You saw Don McKinley, JVR Suggs, Ahmad Bro, Kima Makanioli. Those guys all winning reps. So Jacoby and Guillory winning reps on the pass rush drill, which was good. I think a lot of people made a lot of my comments yesterday talking about how dominant the offense was in the passing game yesterday in the one-on-ones. I thought today was a split on the pass rush for what I saw, which wasn't 100% of the reps. Matt did stay a little bit longer than I did over on that side of the field, so he may have some more information on his show later today. But I thought it was a nice day for both lines of scrimmage in the one-on-one. So that's your look at LSU practice.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.